So welcome to EXP. I'm Chris Walton. I'm a meditation teacher.
I'm Dan Keneally. I'm a meditation teacher. What are we talking about today?
So today I thought we'd talk about taking a break from a meditation practice. From my experience, what I wanted to say, what went on at that time.
Okay.
And I just want to see what you think about that.
Okay.
We're from slightly different backgrounds, more mindfulness, Vedic.
Yeah.
So we're really curious to hear.
This sounds really interesting.
Yeah. So I think it's hard to summarise what's going on. What was going on at the time? But briefly, at one point I just started doing mindfulness all the time. So it's almost like you're kind of observing yourself, and you're thinking, oh, why did I do that? Or that's just an energy, that's just a thought popping up, and you're not kind of getting. I wasn't kind of getting into life, and so I don't think I had that part. And I think in Buddhism they have a really groundedness, and it's all about compassion. They build that up as a little, well, not as a little, as a foundation.
Yeah.
So I wasn't in a structure like that or taught that at that point. So I was perhaps a bit ungrounded. So I ended up taking a break from practice and just doing life stuff, which sounds, which might sound bad to some people, and I'm interested to hear what you think. But at the time, it was good. At the time, I just needed to do it. It just got to that stage. So
That's really interesting. First and foremost is you make decisions based on what you feel is best for you at that moment in time and for those around you. I'm interested on the effort that you were putting into your mindfulness practice. Was it a continual, I feel like I'm continually having to put in effort to stay mindful and stay present, so actively stay present, and I'm finding that this is in a lot of my day-to-day activities, and it got too intense? Is that kind of where you were?
I wouldn't say it's trying. I think it just unlocked to all the time.
Right.
So it wasn't kind of just when I was doing the practice, I was practicing my meditation. It kind of unlocked into the rest of the day, which is great, which is kind of some of the benefits. But at the time, it was a tricky time. It left me just like all the time thinking about what I was thinking and feeling rather than living. So it's a bit of a rupture in a way. And I think sometimes people will go through that, and there's probably paths for meditation, and it's supposed to be a certain way, but people will probably have, lots of stuff to deal with. I had a lot of energy blockages in the body and stuff, and tightness, and I was perhaps living in a way that wasn't in line with, not with my values, but like I was perhaps more sensitive than I realised.
Okay.
And so I had to sort of change some behaviour, and so there's a bit of a catching up to do.
And did your meditation practice change as a result, or did you return back to your usual technique?
So I actually, on the instruction of my mentor, I started this can't remember how to say it now. Contemplation. We'll edit that out. A contemplation practice. So subtly different.
Okay.
But processing your day from your belly, basically, rather than just standing off completely from emotions. So less detached, more like you're just processing emotions from the sort of lower torso. And I also had another mentor that said, no self-help. No self-help, Chris. You can do an hour in the morning a day. And
Tough.
yeah, because this is what I do, and I see inspiration all day. And we were saying, no, do something else. Do it in an hour a day in the mornings, and just stop, because he'd recognise that it just spilled out into life in a not positive way.
Yeah.
And now I think it's I now think it's still in life, this sort of awareness generally, but it's more positive and balanced now. But yeah, it often doesn't get talked about. People will talk online, particularly about how the good side of things, these wellness influencers, they will say, oh, it's all good, but actually it's messy.
I think so. I think behind the scenes will be quite revealing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's really different to my practice. With my practice of Vedic meditation, because of in the category of automatic self-transcending meditation. So rather than keeping the mind at a level of awareness, the idea is that you use a bija mantra, which is a mantra with no intended meaning, that has a vibrational quality that when repeated silently, it kind of charms the mind towards that inner quiet state that the mind finds really charming. So you drop down in your meditation through your states of awareness. So your awareness of what's going on around you in the room that you're in or the environment that you're in becomes less and less. Thoughts pop up, that's fine, but you tend to gravitate down towards a really quiet inner state, and ultimately transcending thought entirely, stepping beyond thought. So there's not a mindful element in terms of I'm always fully present or have the intention of staying fully present. It's a really different method of approaching meditation. Even if you sat and meditated in your style, and I meditated in my style, it might look completely the same from the outside. But what's going on internally might be slightly different, and it's really interesting how brains react for different meditation styles. It shows you how powerful they are, and that different techniques actually do different things and have different impacts on your body. Mindfulness activates the kind of drowsiness and sleep sensors in the brain, the beta brain waves. Transcendental meditations, they activate the kind of alpha brain waves, which is the kind of restful alertness, which is why it's quite energizing. So different styles, different techniques. So I would meditate every day and do, twice a day, every day. Rough patches, meditate twice a day. That's your foundation. Whereas what you're saying is that you kind of pulled back a little bit and just tried new techniques to navigate the situations that you're in.
That's right. And something that interests me is because I learned transcendental meditation, and maybe I wasn't in contact with the teachers, or I wasn't being kind of guided at that point. But for me, it felt quite a heady place. They talk about the cosmic consciousness and stuff, which is kind of like a kind of up, at least up at the head, or if not beyond, kind of place. And at the time, I was very much already in my head and kind of not connected to my lower sort of energy, not in my body really. So I don't think it was necessarily. I'm not sure if it's necessarily the technique or anything like that, or maybe I wasn't sort of guided through this specific thing that I had. Because I think maybe it's a specific thing that I had, and at that time it wasn't working. So that's why I kind of transferred to something that was more bodily. So yeah, I'm not really saying one is either wrong or right, but just saying what kind of came up at the time, and it's interesting.
I think it's interesting for people to understand as well that that different meditations can do different things. Not to repeat myself, but just to reiterate the point that if people are new to meditation, or if they've just tried one meditation, then there are many styles out there. That target different aspects of what people are looking for. If people want a really sensory experience, they can go and get that meditation. If they want a really calming and relaxing experience, they can go and get that meditation. If they want a really de-stressing, deep meditation, they can get that experience. And it's important to note that going deeper in meditation doesn't mean more effort. I think people often think it sounds that deep meditation sounds quite tricky, and I'm only just using apps at the minute, so I don't think that's for me.
Yeah.
Perversely, the deeper meditations are the ones that require the least effort, because that's what allows your body to go deeply. So it's understanding different types and different styles and what they can do for you.
Yeah.
And that's what I think people should be talking about, rather than saying there's one type and this is the only style that I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
Because there's so much out there. I'm happy to signpost people to different styles of meditation. If I think that that's what they're after or what they need, go and try this.
Yeah.
Or go and try this one and just let me know. If not, we'll try something else.
Yeah.
It's not always my style's the only style. You're not going anywhere else. And it's important to know that explore and find what works for you. And even, as you say, when you're in your meditations, in your practice, if it doesn't work at that moment in time, just pause.
Yeah.
Just pause. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah. I love how you've said all that, and I agree completely. And I think there is a natural human sort of way where they want to find an answer, and that's the thing, that's the path, and it's normally one style. But yeah, I think if you go deeper into the advanced stuff of most techniques, they kind of overlap a bit, or they have different techniques, like you said, for different things. So yeah, the knowledge is there as you go along with whatever you do.
It really is. I mean, my practice now, just to finish on briefly, is a transcending style of meditation for 30 minutes, so longer than I recommend doing to people that I teach to meditate. And then there's a visualization technique that I do afterwards, and then I repeat sutras from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, and in Sanskrit to get the kind of affirmations that they bring. So really, it can be 45, 50, 55 minutes.
Yeah.
If I want to do longer, I'll do longer. So that's the kind of more advanced style for my technique.
Yeah.
Some days I'll just do 20 minutes and that'll be it. If I feel like I just want to do 20 minutes, I'll just do 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's how you feel in the moment as well. So everyone changes and switches and decides what their preference is at that moment in time.
Yeah.
But lots and lots to explore for people.
Yeah. Nice.